Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Willy's Wonderland. In the kind of vein of Five Nights at Freddy's exploitation, I guess, or movies that are sort of the concept of Five Nights at Freddy's but are not the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, we have Willy's Wonderland. Much like, I think, the Banana Splits movie, it is an interesting enough of a concept, a premise that it entices you like a good kind of B cult movie kind of thing is. You know, you want to have a beer with your friends and watch this and laugh, have a good time with this sort of thing. And you also get Nick Cage and his era of Nick Cage where you get his kind of like weird cult movie phase of his career. I think the best of that being Mandy. Though he made, the Ghost Rider films have a certain cult thing. I think Drive Angry was sort of the first, and then it evolves into this various thing in Color Out of Space and all sorts of stuff. But this one seems to be his most junky, grindhousey that I've seen him do, and he has no dialogue at all in the whole thing, which is interesting, and I think he actually plays it really well. Willy's Wonderland is about a guy played by Nicolas Cage who is does he have a name? Oh, Janitor. That's a name, I guess. So you have Nicolas Cage is driving through this town. All four of his tires are popped because of a tire popping thing or whatever, and he's stuck in that town and he needs repairs done, which apparently costs $1,000. I don't know how much tires cost, but I'll take his word for it, to pay back the repairs because this town doesn't have any ATMs. He doesn't have $1,000 in cash and all that stuff. He has to work it off by cleaning up this abandoned kind of Chuck E. Cheese type place, has to stay overnight to clean it up, and they'll pick him up in the morning with his car that has been repaired and so forth. But he realizes when he's there that all the old animatronic band that used to be there is evil and is going to try to kill him while he's trying to clean up Willy's Wonderland. But at the same time, a group of teenagers, because of course, are trying to destroy Willy's Wonderland and save him when they find out really that Nicolas Cage, the janitor, is the person that is going to bring a reckoning onto these robots who have killed so many the town sort of has to deal with for all this time. And you kind of have this interesting idea of a town of these teenagers who want to take out these robots and destroy it, or you have the person who is actually going to destroy it in Nicolas Cage. This is, I think, in comparison, because I think there's always going to be a comparison between this and the Banana Splits movie, is the Banana Splits movie was a total rush into production type of thing, and I think they did a good job with that. But Willy's Wonderland is a well-made B junky movie, but it knows exactly what it wants to be. Everyone there is very precise about it. This isn't an excellently made film, particularly the fight scenes. You can almost see them doing the choreography where, like the stuff you're not supposed to see, where they're holding someone so they're going to push them over and stuff. I was like, okay, someone should have cut away right there. I don't know if like the action sequences look like they needed a little more editing, but by people who get simple, economical, junky genre concept film. And that's how this film really works. In particular, I think this film really sings because it has two older actors who really bring this film together, particularly Beth Grant, who is the sheriff in this, and Nicolas Cage. Now, Beth Grant knows how to do Beth Grant. She's a great character actress. I thought she did a very good job, as well as Nicolas Cage, who I know he plays this I want to be cool Elvis Ghost Rider thing or whatever all the time, and it can make you roll your eyes so far back into your head they'll never come out again. But he's really good at it here, and he kind of just feels like a guy who has lived a life, is ready to, with enough determination, can get stuff done. Nicolas Cage is a very talented actor. He has a presence about him. He has a physicality to him, which I think any great action star does. He's done enough of these cheap B action films to know how to do that kind of a premise. Hell, he was in actually big action movies like Face Off, The Rock, Con Air, all that stuff. So he is ready to be in a junkie film, and he sort of owns it. He's having fun. He really wants to be. Apparently he pursued this, and you can tell he wants to be in this kind of film. He's very much playing that kind of a star role. The teenagers in this are especially weak, and it's almost like Nick Cage and Beth Grant kind of elevate this film to be way more than it has any right to be. If they weren't in this film and they just got some no-name person with no presence to do Nick Cage's part, this film would not be worthwhile. Direction is not honestly that great. I know this was a concept came up with the guy who wrote it, Geo Parsons, and he'd been trying to do this for a while. It sounds like it kind of happened around the time of the Five Nights at Freddy's thing. I've not heard anyone come up with the idea that this was the Five Nights at Freddy's script that they totally changed into this movie, even though that was not true of Banana Splits and is not true here either. But I've noticed no one said that this time, so that's interesting. It was not a good theory, but no one said it this time. This is a fun, good cult movie. I enjoyed watching it. I had a good time with it. I was actually very much into it. It gets fairly compelling, to be honest with you, the whole backstory and the kids revealing stuff, and I think it's probably a stronger script than these junky kind of things usually are, and it does like make you want to keep watching it. Through its faults, I think it definitely like is probably the no thrills, better made version of one of these Five Nights at Freddy's things, but then when you get to the end of it, there's less to talk about. Like the Banana Splits thing had a cool concept and like you sort of want to talk about it. You're kind of like compelled, like this is such a weird thing. This is like, I think, more made for people who like these sort of movies. You know, the Banana Splits thing was a movie made for people who don't see these kind of things. This is made for people like, you like junky action things, we made a really well made one and we put a neat sort of concept in it. It feels more like a meat and potatoes kind of good VOD kind of action thing. Supposedly this was supposed to go to theaters. I don't really see that in this movie. This just looks like a junky kind of film. And it's really good junk. It's great. It's great. It's a great cheap beer kind of movie. But in that simple cheap beer way, where someone's like, "What did you do Friday night?" and you're sort of not sure what you did while you were drunk, but you know you had a good time. And that's what this film does. It's very good at doing that. I think this whole concept in this film came together in a way that it got very lucky with everything. But it's almost like it sort of saved itself into the existence of being a really watchable kind of junky film. And there's so many things that I could tell this director probably made a bunch of stuff I probably will have very little interest in. To be honest, it doesn't make me want to see this director again. It honestly, the main thing, it made me want to see Nick Cage in more junky VOD movies. So maybe, if Tubi has a few of those, I'll watch them after this. I think the whole backstory of the concept really gets into it. There's a lot of people who put a lot into this to kind of elevate this thing. You can't jump up that high when you're starting so low. The Five Nights at Freddy's concept and the haunted Chuck E. Cheese thing, it's an interesting concept. I think this is maybe as far as it should go cinematically until we actually get one of these movies, but this is probably my favorite so far. Had enough of a weird thing going on with it. It had enough storylines and plot lines, everything, and it had a simple economical Nicolas Cage kind of thing going throughout it. And also I can totally relate to, an older dude doing a lot of work where a bunch of young kids screw everything up and he's still like sort of doing his job, taking his breaks during fights because he has to drink his drink and play, hey, that's my break, man, you got to deal with this kind of thing. I've never related to a protagonist in one of these movies more. He's like, oh, you kids, whatever, I'll be back, I don't care. This is my break. Very relatable there. But anyway, I think if you are into this kind of thing, if you like kind of junky cult things like this, or a cheap beer kind of movie, I think you'll have a decent enough time. But I don't know if this will, this isn't like a Psycho Goreman or one of the excellent versions of it. This is just like a good one to have on in a movie marathon that gets you through and has a decent enough time. But I'm not sure in a week it'll make that much of an impression, but it probably way more going for it than it ever should. But it sort of like comes together in a way that just, makes you smile, but also makes you sort of just move on in a sense of apathy. So if you've seen Willy's Wonderland and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.